Fun day to have the actual audio on. Always a good way to start a stream. I don't know the shortcuts for any of these things, so we're learning as we go. Welcome everyone. This is going to be a fun, hopefully fun, Conlang heavy session. So before we get started, I'll tell you what the vague plan is. For now. So we have Toki Pona Relex to finish. So that's going to have to happen. Let's do that first. Then, to prevent this sort of sad situation where our Conlang has been given the very last segment, for weeks and weeks, let's do that second. And then finally, we will finish up with some classical Chinese. We're going to do another lesson in our venerable Brandt textbook, and we're going to learn a valuable life lesson as we go. So, good to see everyone here today. I think before I get started, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage you, because I've been told again by my producer to say this. Go and check out, if you are interested in language learning, go and check out our Substack. Natasha Lippman and I have a Substack. We are doing all sorts of language learning advice, digesting a lot of the second language acquisition research and trying to make it applicable to people who are who are learning on their own, I'm going to show you what the thing looks like. It looks a little something like, go over to the side webcam. Looks a little something like this. Oh, go away. That's not for now. Ignore that on the side. It looks a little something like this. And you can even read it first, and it's free, and it has pictures of Matthew Perry in various parts. So that's going to be at howdoyousay.substack.com. Okay, that's my little spiel. That's all I was sort of promised that I would say. So let's go back and let's do our little intro for the first segment. Okay. Hello, if you are now joining us on YouTube in the far future, welcome. Welcome, my name is Colin Gorey. This is a channel all about language, language learning, conlangs, linguistics, all sorts of good stuff like that. So if that sounds like your bag, then please do subscribe. Today, we are going to be finishing what I like to affectionately call ruining Toki Pona. Which is actually just a relexification project. So we're taking the Toki Pona grammar and we're changing all the words around. The grammar stays the same, but the words are different, and the words are very different. And so if you have not seen the first video and you're watching this later on YouTube, go see the first video first, and then you can come back and see how we finish it off here. But I think without further ado, let's just get started. So away we go. Okay, so if you have not seen this project before, a little bit of background. Toki Pona is a language that is a sort of minimalistic constructed language. It has grammar that you can fit on a single two-sided sheet, grammar and vocabulary. It's a very, very small set of roots, 120 or so. And what we're doing is we are taking these roots and giving them new phonological shape. And as you can see, Toki Pona itself has a very simple syllable structure. We have basically a CV structure with N as the only coda that's allowed. So we have lipu, palisa, and pan, CV, 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 and CVN. We have kind of taken this in a different direction. So let's show you what we've done so far. Okay, so we have words, instead of yan, we have sptwach. Instead of ali, we have kyak. Instead of ni, we have butte. That was a debut, DB, debut. That's right here. We have words like, instead of having these little grammatical particles as separate words, we have them as suffixes. So instead of yan, li, so instead of yan, li, toki, e, ni, we have sptwachs, sptib, gr. Oh no, I read the wrong line. Sptwachs, zgliaks, debut. So as you can see, this is utterly ruined in the most glorious way. So basically what happened was we were going to do it all last time. We didn't finish it. So we have to finish it. But before we do that, there's one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to change one word. Because I was looking up the phonotactics of ejectives, and it's very common that you will have the ejective only be the last consonant or at least the last in a cluster of stops. So, and it makes sort of sense when you make an ejective like you hear that the ejective quality after. So if you're not releasing that consonant, you're going right into another stop, you're not necessarily going to hear the ejective. So let's make this sptib like that. So I should use some technology here. I should use the find and replace. We got to replace this. Take out one of those ejectives. Let's do it. All right, there we go. And let us continue. So we have We have well, why don't I read it out first, just so that we can get into the swing of things. So this is the Tower of Babel story. If you're not familiar, we have the English on the left, on the right-hand side. Directions are a thing that I understand very well. Let's move my camera so you can see everything. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Okay. So, sptwach kiaks. Sorry. Sptwach kiaks once zgliak bdas. Sptwachs sptib gerschud gesptib songs sptib ziu snargs wilin swa debut. Easy peasy. Sptwachs zgliaks debut. Hey sptib woigzar hey ogs klim. Hey Noims ook. Sptwach gezargs zgliaks debut. Hey sptib woigzar hey ogs klak mtef ut. All right. Glodre klak mtefgs swa chloep. Glik ge woi gzar hey sptib ut. Woi noobs debut. I hope you're enjoying this. Woi gzargs swa as den gzar. Sptwach glodgs sptib. Hjags deps klaks klak mtef. Sptwach glodgs zgliaks debut. Jek debuten ogs zizios ogs lub rnek gzar. Woi nu ziu hjags nu something zgliak sptwach gzar debut. It looks like we have a word that we haven't translated yet. And then the last sentence we've done, woi nus debut. Sptwach ok zgliak sptwach den. So, you know, it's just an easy language to pronounce in general. I think you know, anyone could do that with, you know, 30 seconds of practice. I certainly could. So let's clean up a few more things. One thing that I would like is, if we're going to have clusters of obstruents, things like stops and fricatives, if we're going to have clusters of obstruents, I'd like them to all agree in voicing, just so that this is a bit more achievable of a challenge. So we have we have a suffix gz, and I think what we would like is for this to agree in voicing with the final coda, a coda consonant. So when we have uk, we're not going to have ukgs, we're going to have uks. So something like this, uks. That's a little bit more reasonable, I think. And let's see if there are any other instances. Yes, here's one where I kind of noticed it. Sptwachgs. I think this would make a lot more people happy if we had sptwachs. Sptwachs. Similarly here, rwetks. Rwetks. Bdasks. This kind of thing. Glodgs, that's fine because it's voiced. Let's see, anything else where we need to change it? Gzargs, that's fine. Mtefks, yeah, let's devoice that. And anything else that needs our attention? Yeah, just this one here. Sptwachs. Sungs, that's fine. Kyaks. So this is the this li particle, or suffix in our case, is the thing that marks a that comes after a subject that is not the first or second person pronoun, and before the verb phrase. So, whether we want to call that a nominative marker or maybe a finite marker, I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe there are additional facts about Toki Pona that could help us decide and give a cool, good analysis, but I do not know what they are at this point. Okay, so then let's take this voicing assimilation and keep it going. So we have this allomorphy where we have orz instead of orgs, which is very much like the English plural when you have z after z after voiced consonants and s after voiceless consonants. So we have this allomorphy, which is super cool and super awesome, and that's good. We do it here as well. Noobs. Are there any other opportunities to do this? Here's another one. Orz. This or is the verb, I believe, to do, to make, to build, and it has this a in Toki Pona. It's this a particle after it, which seems to be kind of like an accusative marker, but in our version, this is not an independent. This is not an independent word, but it suffixes onto the verb. So maybe we could consider that a clitic. I think that would be the best analysis of it. So we have these enclitic, these enclitic particles, z, so they both agree in voicing with the consonant that they're next to, and they are either s or z for the accusative marker, this a, and for the subject marker or the finite verb marker, whatever goes in between the subject and the verb phrase, we have gz or x after voiceless consonants. Okay, so I think that's basically all I wanted to do. Here's another stray gz. All right, so we have to find out what this verb is going to be here. This question mark. We need something that is break, I believe. Yeah, we need a break word. And so what we can do is make this something like, actually, let's get the let's get the phonology up beside us, because I think that would be helpful. So zoom up. Look at that. Would you look at that? Here it is. Well, here it is. So we have the phonology in plain view, hopefully. Okay. So then we've got all these beautiful consonants. Let's do something like for break. Well, first of all, let me ask you, viewers, do you have any suggestions? Given that we have this constant inventory here, this vowel inventory here, maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Can I? Make it a little bit bigger for you. And yeah, okay. So I need some phonological shapes. I need one for break. This verb to break. So we can have something to replace these question marks. If you're new to the show, a big theme of this show is me struggling with getting all the windows where they should be. So just treat that as part of the experience. That's my earnest request. Okay, so while I wait for someone who has some creativity in the chat. Oh, Oh, we have a winner. We have a winner. Anthony, thank you. We have splat, which works in our phonology perfectly. Okay, so this gives us the sentence Woi nu ziu chiags nu splats gliag resptoach zar debut. Bingo. I love it. Okay. And then in this next sentence, what is going on with this b? Oh, yes, this should be suffixed here. And here, I think we're going to do the same thing. The negative marker will also agree in voicing. So we have ops, woinus debut, sptwachs, ops, zgliak, sptwach, zden, obviously. All right, moving on. And we have the person above, so we don't need to translate the proper name of God. Last time we said before that we're going to refer to what's in the English version, the Lord, as person above. And I think that should hopefully keep everyone reasonably happy. So we have, I'm going to bring up the vocabulary. We have, do we have enough room? We do. Okay, so we have, maybe move down there. There we go. Jan, we have sptwach. So let's get that in here. Sptwach sewi, above is glod. Sptwach glod. And then we have a li, which is going to be gz. Then we have the verb kama, to come, and this is sptyub. And then we have this a particle, this accusative marker, which is going to be s, which will voice to z after the voiceless coda of sptyub. And then we have the demonstrative, which is debut. Perfect. These are some additional forms if we need them. I'll take these and I'll put them off screen so that we're not distracted. Yoink. Okay. What's next? Sptwach. X. Li is going to be gz underlyingly, but it's going to devoice because it's beside this voiceless velar fricative ch. So sptwach. X. Then we have this word located, which is my absolute favorite word of this Conlang, which is swa. Swa. That's one syllable, people. Swa. Land, many. I believe land is just a schwa because we can still be minimalistic when we want to be. And many is gzar. Gzar. Samuel, the only thing you missed was me accidentally talking for like 10 seconds with the mic off. So, you know, you may have missed a laugh, but you can catch up on it on the replay later if you're so inclined. We also did make a few decisions about some phonotactics. The biggest one is that we're going to be making our enclitics, so gz and s. We're going to have them assimilate in voicing to the coda, to any coda consonant of their host. So we have glodgs, but we also have sptwachs. So that's kind of fun, and a pretty common thing that's going to help me a lot with the pronunciation. Right. Okay. So sptwach, glodgs, sptyubs, debut. Sptwach, swa gzar. So land many. Ken ala goes to gzar. And then this needs this li, which is going to be our enclitic gz. And then we need this verb can. Do we have it? Oh, sorry, can. Do we have it? I don't think we have it yet. So let's take advantage of one of our suggestions from last time, which is to use these kind of lovely things here. Ooh. Ooh is going to be can. And it needs a negative, so oob. And then we have ogs, do, accusative, and then this tomo word, which means house, which is clock. Okay. We need to add this to our lexicon. So we are translating ken, K-E-N. So let's put that up here. And let's do K-E-N. And let's call that, oops, that's ooh. Okay. We are moving along. Okay, then we have this word, this sentence, therefore is the name of it called Babel. In Toki Pona, nimi pimatomo ni li pape tani. So the name of the land house, I believe this means city. Could be wrong. Any Toki Pona speakers correct me. Matomo, land house. City, name of land house demonstrative, so name of this city. Is Babel from this. So the name of this city is Babel from this, roughly speaking. So let's just go and relexify this sentence. So we have, instead of nimi, we have glik. Instead of p, we have r. Instead of ma, we have a. Instead of tomo, we have clock. Instead of ni, this demonstrative, we have the butte. Instead of Babel, so this is getting Toki Pona-fied as pape. We can probably do a little bit. I want to say we can do a little bit better. Our morpheme structure constraint, if you will remember, it's over in the phonology, is this, which means I think all we can get out of this would be Bob. But we can capitalize it to tell people that it's a proper name. Okay, and then from, rer. Oops. I'm becoming like a maestro with all these copying and pasting, but instead of a maestro, I'm someone who's very incompetent at it, but otherwise very close. All right. Then next we have Yansewi, the person above, Stwach Glodgs. Then we need our splat, splats, because it has a direct object. This A in Toki Pona, S in our language, introduces a direct object. And then we need speak of person all, so the speech of all people. Toki pian ali. So Toki translates to zgliak. P translates to r. Stwach is yan, and ali is kyak. Perfect. Okay. One more sentence to go. Hi, Chris. Welcome. Metathesis to get blob. Samuel. Excellent idea. Blob. Yeah, we're being faithful to these consonants at all costs. Not so much to the order. But that sounds Awesome. Okay, so next up, what's next? Yan sewi yawe li tawa e yan tawa mamute tan ma tomo pape. So here we can just go with our translation. Sptwach glod, the person above, translating the Lord. We have li introducing a finite verb, or potentially just coming after a subject. For some reason, I want to translate this as a verb finiteness marker rather than as a nominative case, because we have, well, maybe this is too far afield, but we have this situation where we have two particles. Let's go into the cheat sheet for a second. We have two particles. We have this particle li that separates the subject and the verb. Soweli li moku. The cat is eating, or the animal is eating, I think, more generally. And then we also have this particle e, which separates the direct object from the rest of the sentence. So this seems to me like an accusative case marker. But if that's an accusative case marker, it goes before the noun, the accusative, the direct object, the noun phrase. And then this li goes after the subject, which to me seems like you would have either exclusively your case markers all before or your case markers all after. There may be some exceptions to that. I don't know. But I think the question would be, what happens in clauses like for me to, or for the cat to eat would be delightful. How would we do that in Toki Pona? I'm not sure. That would be, I think, the crucial example. Okay, so that's an aside. But this explains hopefully why I'm kind of calling it one thing one time and another thing the next. Back to our, oh, don't go over there yet. Back to our Relex. So, sptwach glodgs. And this can stay gz because we have a voiced coda here, glodgs. Then we need to translate go to, which is tawa. Our word for that is ziu. Ziu. And then we have this a accusative marker, which is s. This does assimilate to the voicing of any coda, let's say coda obstruent, so we can still have Zeus. So it won't necessarily assimilate to a W. Sptwach, glodgs, Zeus, and then we have another instance of person, so sptwach, and then another instance of go to, so ziu, and then land, which is oops, give me a schwa, someone, give me a schwa. Samuel writes in that some sentences are not possible in Toki Pona, such as direct comparison. So maybe we can't have non-finite clauses. I don't know. I'm going to call it I'm going to call it a finite marker, finite verb marker, and interesting paper we could write about that if we had the inclination. So sptwach glodgs Zeus sptwach ziu land many mute, or in our case gzar from land house Babel, Tan Matomo Pape, from the city of Babel, I think. So then let's go here, Ger, and Ger, and what was house? It was clock, and then blab. Okay, we have finished our translation. There's only one more word we need, which is that we can name this language. So we need an equivalent of Pona. Good. So I'm going to get up the phonology here, and I would love to hear your opinion. What can we use? What can we use for good in this language? Because we're not going to call this Toki Pona anymore, we're going to call it Zgliak something. Zgliak. So that's the final challenge. Think about that as I attempt to do a final read through of this text. I'm going to get some water first because this is going to be a workout. Get right into the proper mindset. Sptwach kjaks once zgliak das. Oops, is this? Yeah, that's the start. Okay, I'll start over again. Sptwach kjaks once zgliak das. Sptwachs sptib ger schud gesptib songs sptib ziu es nargs ulin swad buut. Sptwachs zgliaks buut. Ge sptib woi gzar ge ogs klim. Ge gnooims ook. Sptwach gzargs zgliaks buut. Ge sptib woi gzar ge ogs klak mtef goed. Glodge klak mtefks swa chloep. Glik ge woi gzar ge sptib goed woi noobs buut. Let's scroll down. Woi gzargs swa as den gzar. Sptwach glodgs sptib chiags deps klaks klak mtef. Sptwach glodgs zgliaks dbuut. Sptwachs swa ruetks wans zgliak bedasks ogs klak mtef. Yek buut ux zios ogs lub rnek gzar. Woi nu ziu chiags nu splats zgliak sptwach gzar dbuut. Woi nust buut sptwachs ops zgliak sptwach zden. Sptwach glodgs sptibs dbuut. Sptwachs swa gzargs ub ogs klak. Glik klak dbuut blab ger dbuut. Sptwach glodgs splats zgliak sptwach kjak. Sptwach glodgs zius sptwach ziu gzar ger klak blab. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that was a success. We still need our word for good, though. We're looking for something with some adjectives. Are there any sounds we haven't used? I think we've used all of the sounds that we have available to us, but we could do something like, I think we should do something really, really meaty for this word. So maybe we could just use the entire, let's use the entire morpheme structure. Let's, we're going to write it. I'll just write it here. Oh no, I'll write it here. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, so we have zgliak, that's Toki, and Pona is going to be maybe S K ejective P skip wa squawk Squawk. Oh dear, why do I do this to myself? Squawk. Squawk. I don't know. Something like that. So the language could be then Zgliak Squawk. Squawk. Oh, I don't think I could do it to myself. If anyone of you can pronounce this, you're a better, just a better human being than I am. Squawk. Squawk. Oh, I think I did it that time. So that's the language. I'm going to rename this spreadsheet. You can all see me do it. This is now Sklak Squawk. Done. Okay. Victory. We've achieved victory. What do you think? Did we absolutely ruin this language? Is it awful? Do you love it? Are you going to start speaking it exclusively from now on? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you're on YouTube, please do consider perhaps subscribing, perhaps liking the video if you did like it, leaving a comment if you have any other words that you'd like to add to this language. And thank you so much for joining. Okay. Segment 1 done. I'm going to stretch my legs. I will be back in a minute and we will start conlanging again. We're going to work on our proto-language. We've got lots of stuff to do. I'm barely through my to-do list on it, so stay tuned. And we're back. Okay. Wow. My throat, my entire vocal tract has been given a complete workout by that language, which I'm not even going to attempt to say the name of. That was intense. But now we're going to go back and we're going to look at a very different language, which is Proto-Qal. So the language family that we've been developing in this series, this Conlang with Me series, is called the, for lack of a better term, the Qal language family, QAL. And so we have this Proto-Qal language, and we've been working on that for a few weeks now. I promise we will get back to the descendant languages at some point. But for now, we are going to just make the proto-language something really satisfying so that we can then derive from it with ease and delight and joy. Yes, we are still conlanging. Don't worry. We have much more conlanging to go. I've decided to mix it up and do the conlanging a bit earlier in the stream this time, so that it has a chance to shine. Okay, so we're going to go into the next segment. So I'm going to do my little intro for YouTube. Just bear with me as I do that, and then we'll get right into it. Okay, and we get into the zone, the talking to YouTube zone. If you are just joining us now on YouTube, I bid you a hearty welcome to the channel. My name is Colin Gorey. This is a channel all about language, linguistics, conlanging, language learning. Conlanging is the name of the game today, though, because we are about to continue our series, Conlang with Me. If this is your first time seeing it, there's a whole playlist of previous work that we've done, so you can check that out. But for now, I think we should just dive in. Let's dive in. So we have this language. Woof, there we go. We have this language that we've been working on called Proto-Qal. And the backstory is that we started with a language, Diachronic, which means roughly the language of the fragrant coast. We've got some world building going on here too. Not a lot, but we can do some more later. And we have the ability to essentially move backwards in time, which is what we've done, and we've made a language that this Conlang descended from, and we're calling this language Proto-Qal, literally proto-language. Qal just means language in Diachronic. You can see right here, which derives from the protoform quale. So basically, we took a text that we made in Diachronic, Hoska Papayawi, the raven and the swan, and we applied all of our sound changes back, and we got this proto-text, which turns out as Hoskwa Papayawi. Now, what happened was, when you just sort of mechanically reverse all the sound changes, you end up with something that is very similar in many ways to the descendant language, which is not probably what we would expect. We'd expect there to have been some grammatical changes. So basically what we've been doing is making those grammatical changes happen just in reverse. So we know what the descendant language looks like. We now have to make the proto-language work in a slightly different way that's still plausible for the descendant language to work the way it does, if that sentence made any sense. One of the things that happened, and I'm just sort of catching everyone up on the last few episodes, is that we had all sorts of really, really long words as a result of undoing these sound changes. And for whatever reason, call it a quirk, I didn't love the idea of having roots that have 4, 5, and 6 syllables in this language. So I imposed a morpheme structure constraint. So our roots in the proto-language can be maximum 3 syllables. So that means anything that looks like a root and is 4 syllables is not a root. It's a derived form in some way. So we made some of those into compounds. So let's see if we can come up with an example here. Yes. So we have this form in the descendant language in Diachronic, which is antuk, and it means home. And when we worked backwards from our sound changes, we came up with this protoform, something like Anatolqua. Too long. So what we did was, we turned this word into a morphologically complex form, Anatolqua. And this hukwa thing is a nominalizing suffix. And anato we turn into the verb to enclose. So this is an enclosure or a home. This is the act of enclosing. So enclose plus this nominalization. And we have a sound change that makes this ch drop out, and then the two vowels in hiatus turn into a long one, which is where we get anatolque from. And that's how we get antuk in the in Eustamia. Okay, so that's basically the route that we've been taking. We've been going through and we've been doing this with all of the words that sort of need this treatment. And along the way, we've discovered some really cool kind of morphology, almost by accident, just by trying to make things fit with the Eustamia, the descendant language forms. We've come up with some cool structures. So let's go and look at this tab. This is the comparative lexicon tab. You're not missing out on much up here in the top right. It just says notes. And so we have some areas to work on still, but I want to show you some cool stuff. So we had this form masfa in Eustamia, which means sun, and we have this form masliku, which means bright. And so when we undid all the sound changes, we had these things go back to something like masafa and something like masaliku. But notice that they have this masa in common, and so we made a morpheme masa, a root which means bright or white. And then we derive forms like masafa, the bright one, with this nominalization, this nominalizing suffix fa, which is like an agent nominalizer. So the bright, the brightener, the brighter, I don't know, the bright one is a good way of translating it, I think. And then we have this masala, which means bright. We don't know what this la morphology is. I've called it a stem extender here because just a sort of, I have no idea what this is. But nevertheless, these words are morphologically related. And then how do we get masliku from this? We go, because that's too long for the proto-language, masala uko, I think is what it would be. So we turn this into a compound. Instead of being bright, it is bright color. So masala, bright, uko, color. So then this gives us in our modern language masliku, or masligu, because we have intervocalic voicing, but forget about that for now. Okay, so that's the flavor of what we've been doing. And so I have put in yellow the things where we have not yet, we have some more things to do. Jamin, welcome. Welcome. First time watching live. Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad you could join us. So, yeah, I stayed up late one night. I went through all of this, making sure all the proper things were bold and everything was sorted in a nice order. And I noticed that there were some things that didn't satisfy me a ton. And one of them is this Eustamia word uyu, which is our complementizer. And complementizer would be a thing like the English word that in I know that you are here. So it introduces a subordinate clause. And so we have this in Eustamia, but I thought it's a bit, I don't know, I just don't love it for the proto-language. But what we could do is we could have the complementizer come from a word meaning thing. So the proto form for uyu would be oyo. And what if oyo originally meant thing? So if we look at if we look at the development of a complementizer, I need to get some place to write so that I can just give you some examples. So so you are here. I know that you are here. So remember that we have an SOV language. This is what we're dealing with, a subject-object-verb language. And so in a subject-object-verb language, we'd have something more like you here are, and you here are that. I know. Or you might have I before that. Before this, so I, you, that, no. So when we think about it this way, how might we come up with these complementizers? What is the pathway of grammaticalization? So we have some sort of grammatical morpheme that it has to come from somewhere, right? These things don't just spring up out of thin air, do they? Well, a lot of people think no, and we have a lot of historical evidence that they come from lexical words. So more sort of robust and full-bodied words about things that you'd talk about in, like, you know, in the world, like a thing, or we can think of what would be a good example of this? We could think of I'm trying to think of an example that doesn't require a ton of backstory. Yeah, maybe I'll leave that to the side for now. But I really wish my mind would, something would spring up and I could give you the perfect example. I will, if one comes to me, I will do that. But yes, Damon, correct. So this is very similar, if not identical, to the Japanese or Korean order, two SOV languages par excellence. So this is SVO and this is SOV. Yeah, right. You have a very good source of evidence on that one. So given that we want our grammatical item that to come from some word, what word could it come from? And when you think about it, you could say something like, I know, now we're going back to the English word order, I know something. Namely, you are here. I know something. That something is, you are here. Or I know that. What's that? The fact that you are here. And so maybe this comes to be a little bit of a good example about grammaticalization. What if you stopped interpreting this as, I know that? In other words, you are here. And you just started saying, I know that you are here. Now you have something that's indistinguishable from a complementizer. I know that you are here. But it doesn't have to be this demonstrative like that. It could be something like a thing. And I think this is the pathway to grammaticalization that happened in Korean and Japanese, where you have something like I, you, here, are, thing. No. Oop. Yeah. So then this word I, you, here, are, thing, no. I said that as if it should make sense to you. But basically what you're saying is, I know a thing, namely that you are here. And this word for thing turns into the complementizer. So that's basically the idea. So our proto word for thing turns into a complementizer in Ustamia-Qal. That's the gist of that. So then let's go back to our, oops, oh, the phonological changes if anyone wants to see them. Let's go back to our comparative lexicon. Yeah, it's exactly. It's I know the fact that you are here. Yeah. Justin, welcome. Yes, you caught me live. Excellent. Oh, so glad to have so many people here live in the middle of the day, at least in this part of the world. Might be the middle of the night for some of you, and in which case I doff my hat. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take this idea and let's say that in Ustamia we have this as the complementizer. Let's just write it like that. Why not? This is our complementizer. Put an L in there just to remind us. And then in the proto-language, this is a thing. So then we can remove this. Boom. I, you, here, our, thing, no. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. So if we have, let's go to our text and change this. So we need, I think we have it somewhere in the proto text. We need to find this oyo. Ah, here it is. Oops. So basically, and he learned that he was already good. Paso faquale sofa ye oyo te makala. So in this case, we're going to we could just translate this as and he learned a thing that he was namely that he was already good. But this already looks like it's been sort of grammaticalized to be a complementizer. So I'd rather change this construction altogether and give us some kind of ending on this, like n. I don't know what that would be, but we could just call that the complementizer. Paso faquale sofa yun te makala, something like that. We can change what that is because actually we can't have n because this is a strict CV language. So it might be something like yanna or yanna, something. So let's, if anyone has anything that's euphonious and just cries out to you as, hey, that's a complementizer right there. Let me know, and then we can get rid of that. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to do. We can just call it n for now, though. And then the next thing is, let's go back to our comparative lexicon. We have a word for thing in Eustamia, which is yagam. But now we have two words for thing in the proto language. Now we have oyo and yakama. And I think yakama should be not the word for thing. It should come in Eustamia to replace the void left by oyo becoming a complementizer. So I would like, okay, this I think is kind of cool. I would like to derive this from a word meaning a deed or a doing. And here's what I'm thinking. We have this verb, this light verb y, which means to do, which we add after adjectives to make them into things that can be verbalized. We also have another piece of the puzzle here, which is that we have all sorts of words with this a schwa alternation. So I'll show you what I mean. We have this nominalizing suffix, which sometimes shows up as hkwa and sometimes as hkwa. And I want this to be something grammatical, this alternation, this schwa alternation. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but we're going to build it in. Because it's not the only place where we find this. If, in fact, yakama is from y-kama, then we'll find it here too. And so we have these two forms of the verb. So if this means deed or doing, then we have this kama, which could be a kind of like a verbal noun form, like a gerund. So that would be possible. And then I want to show you another case where we have this a alternation, which is sofa. So we have sofa, which is the word good. And then we have this kind of stew, which was one of the very first words we made, which is suftalia in Toki-Qal. But this is too long for the proto-language, so we have to break it up. What do we break it up into? Sofa taluya. And this sofa is really close to sofa. And it's so tempting for me to say, well, the name of a stew is good something. It's like, I don't know what it is, but Talia is something, and sofa is good. So we have this alternation here again. Sofa, sofa. We will make sense of this in the distant future, or maybe the not so distant future, but I just want to point out that the language seems to be, by utter chance, taking us in this direction. So let's make the most of it. And let's say that yagam in Ustamiya-Qal is yakama in Proto-Qal, which means a deed. So then this is going to be from ye, ya. We don't know exactly how this is going to go, but we have this alternation to do, and then plus kama, which is, I'll call it a verbal noun. We have all sorts of nominalizing suffixes at the moment. We don't have a lot of order to them, but we'll get there. Maybe we don't have to have a huge amount of order. So yakama becomes yagam, which means thing. And so we have this nice semantic shift where oyo means thing in the proto-language, turns into a complementizer, and then the word for deed gets semantically bleached and turned into the word for thing. So yeah, cool. Okay, I am now going to catch up on some of the things that you have written. We have hu as a potential complementizer, and we have eke. So I think we should use both. So let's do that, and let's go back to our prototext, and let's say, let's use both. Let's say hu is, let's say hu can be used for actions and eke can be used for states or something like that. That could be kind of a fun. Yoeke, which would probably be something like yeeke. And so that is, let's just, this is the stative complementizer. And then hu would be the active complementizer. So let's add entries for these things. Eke. So because this sentence in the text is a state to be good, or already to be good, paso faquale sofa yoeke to makala. Oh, that's a good question. Is that meant to be a schwa? Okay. Thing of VP. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right. So I'm going to, let's assume that this is a schwa. So it's not eke, it's okay. And go back over here. Okay. And we don't yet have a future tense. That's the one thing. I've been using a kind of a verb to want for things like conditionals. Maybe we could use that for the future tense, or maybe we could just use have a past non-past system. Okay, these are some good ideas. There's one more thing that I want to do that's kind of grammatical in nature. So we don't have to worry about this for now. So we have this ya. Let's add that here, and we can remove this. Good past colon giving all these notes. What else do we need? Oyo. Sofa has this. Okay. Okay. One thing I wanted to do is make this a little more kind of, I have this idea in my mind of the sort of the classic SOV language, and it's roughly Korean or Japanese. And, you know, I'm not sure how theoretically sound that idea of a classic SOV language is, or at least having those as my go-to examples, but nevertheless, there we are. And so one thing I've noticed is that we have this past tense marker, which is ta. And it's the past tense on polysyllabic verbs. And I want to make this into a suffix. I just want to make this into a suffix. Or I don't know. I just think it's got to be a suffix. So that's what we'll do. We'll make it into a suffix. And I think we'll remove this distinction between polysyllabic and monosyllabic verbs in the proto-language. So then let's do that. So this is our past marker, and let's say it's now a suffix. And so let's go back to our texts. And now we have ta makala. That's now going to be makalata. So paso facule sofa ye ke makalata. And then that's going to have to be propagated all the way around here. We have a variety of these, so I will probably not bore you with the entire process just as we go. But even so, I'm really getting excited about sentences like okapina te kalaya pa satanasima homesu te anatohakwa umasata. I don't know. This is, to me, it's just a feeling. I don't know what it is, but it clicks. Okapina te kalaya pa satanasima homesu te anatohakwa umasata. I like it. It feels like a language. Oh, goodness gracious! Look at all of this stuff. So long schwa can lower to perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. See, I have taken out of this form of the language. I've taken vowel length out, but what I'm thinking is maybe what we could do is we could have an earlier form of the language, so we could do some internal reconstruction, where there was like maybe a pitch accent thing going on, and something like that. And unaccented things became schwa, and accented things became ah. That's possible. Okay, and then yes, good point that will, urgently, and to a certain extent still does mean want. And then Jaemin's saying yawant's becoming the future tense marker in somewhere along the line between the proto-language and the descendant language. Yeah, I like that idea. Where did yawant's, is that coming from somewhere, or is that a new invention? Do I have that? No. Okay, well let's write it in. Let's just put it here. Call this future. And we'll do that. And okay, so good. I think, I don't know. I think I might break it here for YouTube. Just, I've noticed that, my videos are getting kind of long on YouTube. So I'm going to break it here for YouTube. I'm going to do a quick segment outro. So thank you for those of us on YouTube joining us. We have had a good time today. We've done some linguistic archaeology, and we've been messing around in the proto-language. So if you like this kind of thing, stay tuned because there's plenty more to come. The usual stuff, like, subscribe, ding dong, click the bell, all that good jazz. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Now I'm going to do the segment intro for the next part for YouTube. A streamer's work is never done, I tell you. Welcome back to another episode of Conlang with me. If you're watching this and you have no idea what Conlang with me is, please do check out the playlist because this is a huge story that we're telling. We're building a whole family of languages from scratch live. And if you have seen it before, well, you know what to expect now. So why don't we just jump right in? Okay, we're going back. And we are going to do some more work in the proto-language. We need to clear all of these yellow things before we stop. That's just our goal. So let's just, this is just a note to self. We have a few words that we don't know the meaning of. We don't know we don't have a meaning of. We have some words where it looks like we have a morphologically complex form, but we don't know what it means. I'm going to try to share the load. So those of you in the chat, if you see something that's yellow and it looks like there's something that comes to your mind, let's hear it. I'd be very pleased to incorporate those ideas in. I'm going to tackle something else that I have that's been kind of annoying me, which is the pronoun system, which I have basically only done a little bit on in the proto-language. I have this form so and t. So is the nominative, t is the genitive. And I don't like the fact that they're suppletive like this, that they're unrelated. So I think maybe what we should do is have like a proper genitive suffix, and then derive it a little bit more like that. So that's what I'm going to do. So instead of t, I think maybe we should have like, so can be third person with an unmarked nominative, and t could be, I think maybe something like so. So maybe if we do so or sohi or socha, and then that's going to, this velar fricative is going to drop out, maybe even in some forms of spoken Proto-Qal or some varieties, and we'd have something like soa or so. We'd have these vowels that get, so maybe something like that phonetically, but for our purposes, let's just say socha. So we have this genitive suffix socha, ch, and we can put that here. And then we don't need this. Boom, third person pronoun so. Good, done. And oh my goodness. Violet, that's a wonderful idea. I'm starting to look askance at all of these schwa final. Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. Why don't we put in the back of our minds that pre-Proto-Qal has a pitch accent system, which is going to govern this alternation between and a. And it's and we are going to act like historical linguists and try and uncover what that system was, meanwhile at the same time also creating it. So yeah, let's say Maybe there are going to be some forms where ta is accented or was accented in pre-Proto-Qal and therefore shows up with the full vowel in Proto-Qal. But we don't know what those are. Oh, we got to discover what those are. Maybe the rule would be something like, do we want to make it just arbitrary, or do we want to make it arise from some kind of pattern? I always like to make things arise from some kind of pattern, but I don't know what the pattern is yet. I don't think we have enough information. Let's just plant that seed in our minds and keep that intention that we're going to derive this alternation from some sort of like an ancestral pitch accent system. Maybe when it's alone, it gets... No, I don't know. I'm not going to attempt it. So what else do we need? Oh my goodness. I am... Jamin! Oh, that's so nice to hear. Yeah, hopefully if this series can do nothing else, it can sort of inspire people who might have reached a brick wall in their conlanging and think, is there something else I can do? I always really love watching other people work. I get a ton of inspiration from it, and I get a ton of ideas. And so we all have different ways of working, and if you can see one more, maybe that'll be helpful. Okay. Yeah, it is hard work. Yeah, maybe accent or some sort of long, short vowel distinction. There's some distinction that I feel almost like people trying to work out Proto-Indo-European morphology when doing this, because it seems like there's a pattern. It's just really complicated. But we'll get there. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to clear a few more of these yellow segments before we can move on, because I also want to do some classical Chinese today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be you'll have to find that. But yeah, there will be a link somewhere. I'm told, no, my producer said, Lucy, where am I supposed to be pointing? It's going to be somewhere. You'll find it. You're resourceful. I trust you. So let's keep ourselves happy and remove some of these yellow markers. So sapata, this could be something like sapachata, but then sapachata. So what does a park have to do with flying? This is the challenge I put to you. What does a park have to do with flying? Because we seem to have this morphologically complex word meaning park, like a public park, and it has this fly morpheme in it. And then khata could be whatever you want it to be. We also have satanasi, which is field. We need something for that. So we could say something like sata and nasi. I don't think we have anything roughly with that shape yet. Let's check up here. No, we don't. Satanasi or satanasi. That could work too. Actually, we do have sa, it means bad. Yeah. Why would a field be bad? Can we think of any cool etymological reason why that might have been the case? Because it would be really cool to derive this from bad field or something. So maybe tanasi is the word for field. And for some reason in Eustamia, we just have a bad field. And that's the ordinary word for field in Eustamia. But in the proto-language, it would have been tanasi. Yeah, let's do that. And maybe someone can come up with a cool etymological story. Yeah, maybe we dig into the depths of the Eustamian psyche, because they are from the fragrant coast after all. Maybe there aren't a lot of fields around there. Maybe it sort of provokes anxiety. But yeah, it's very fragrant. They go to the park to fly their seagulls. Yeah, so let's make khata meaning like a yard or a court. A courtyard even. So maybe the royal court is also called that. So etymologically, this is going to be from the flying court. Maybe, yeah, maybe. What if it's the place where people literally went to go and fly kites or something? So it's a court where everyone's flying kites. Maybe that's part of their culture. Who knows? So this is sapa, meaning fly. And khata meaning court or yard. So then let's take, let's take this and put it here first. And let's take this and get sapahata. And we'll call this court or yard. And now this, oh, thank you so much for your help with this, because this is just one of these wonderful things that happens in conlanging. And it really only happens once you've been working at a project for a while, is that you start to come up with these things, and you'd never have come up with them if you just sat down and said, what's the word for field? It's probably from a word that means bad field. That never would have happened. But because we've gone on this journey with this family of languages, we can start to do these things, and then it just becomes a sort of a cool part of the etymology. And that's what happens with natural languages as well. So the more lived in this language is, the better. So that's why we have stansi in Eustamiya-Qal instead of tansi. But maybe in all the other languages we have something that derives from the non-s prefixed form. Yeah, maybe they didn't like hunting in the open fields. So I'm ready to turn that back to, I don't know, whatever the spreadsheet color is. White, it's clear, I don't know. Okay, we have some mysteries over here, and I'm not sure what we're going to do about them. They're even partly off screen, so don't worry about them. Those are mysteries for Eustamiya. We have, the reason this is yellow is because we just don't have a meaning for it. Sawahwama, which will give us swaham in Eustamiya, which we don't have a meaning for either. So this is just stuff we can use later. Don't have to worry about that. Taluya, we need taluya to mean something. Or maybe we don't. Maybe it's just the name of a dish, and this is the good one. Sofa taluya. Tofala, it's another mystery. We don't know what it means. Walanuka, Walanka, another mystery. Yeah, we now have two words for swim. We have khapu and alupa. And maybe we just have two words for swim. Maybe that's just the way it is. Or maybe we don't. That's something we can figure out later, and I'm not too worried about it. So I'm gonna leave that. That's not gonna be yellow anymore. Konasa, we don't know what it means. Kote, lamaka, we don't know what they mean. It's fine. Okay, so the only thing we have left to do is apatoma. So, oh, Lucy, that's a great idea. Different types of swimming. Yeah, so maybe one is swimming in the ocean and one is swimming in the river, or One is swimming vigorously and swimming not so vigorously. Yes, Lucy. Oh, great minds, Lucy. Great minds. Okay, so okay, let's do some world building here, and I'm gonna adjust the pillows on because again, it's gotten out of control here. I am on a mound of pillows. You have no idea. Okay, so what is our normal word for swimming in Eustamia? It's aliba. So maybe this means swim in seawater, which for the Proto-Qal speaking people was by no means a guaranteed thing. Maybe it would have been by the sea, maybe it would have been in a river. But for our fragrant coast dwellers, when they swim, it's always in the sea. And so they ended up using this word alupa in Proto-Qal, aliba in Eustamia, just as the generic word for to swim. Okay, so let's do that. So swim in seawater, this just means plain old swim. That's so cool. Oh, Lucy, well done. Lucy, by the way, is the producer that I keep alluding to, who has all these good ideas that I sometimes forget to follow, but they're brilliant. She is brilliant. Sofa taluya. Taluya is a kind of, we can just say it's a kind of stew, soup. Maybe what kind of stew or soup would differ in the different descendant languages. So in one place it's kind of a stew, in one place it's kind of a soup. I kind of like that idea. Sort of reminds me of differences in food, differences in how food are named between different countries that share the same language or that share that have related languages. Okay. Good. So I'm happy with this now. And we need our last thing, and then we're gonna have to stop, and we're gonna go on to some classical Chinese. Is we need to rename apatoma because it's too big. So we can do something like, well, okay, one thing we know is that the break has to come here. Apato, and then maybe a umma or a chamma. We could do something like apato chamma, and we need a derivation for this mountain word, aptuma, in Eustamia. So I bring it to you. Do you have any thoughts? Apato chamma. Are these just two different words for mountain that get compounded together to mean mountain? This happens, this is something that's happened a lot in the history of the Sinitic languages. You'll have two synonyms being compounded together, and then that compound then becomes the word for that thing. So maybe apato and chamma are just two different words for mountain. That's a possibility. I almost want to say, let's make apato mountain, and maybe umma could be another word. Maybe it's mountaintop or something. Mountain and umma. We don't know what it's going to be yet. I don't know why it doesn't turn that off bold. Yeah, let's look at our word for rock. Pata. Oh, that's an interesting point. Damien's made about how swimming in the sea and swimming in a river are just different, very different experiences. I've never actually had the experience of swimming in the sea. Okay, so why don't we, unless we have any other ideas, I'm going to just say, why don't we put it as top, mountain top. Top, summit, peak. And then if anyone has another idea, I am all ears and I will change it. But I think this works, and then we can go, and I'll probably do this off screen just so that you're not bored. I'm going to go through and change all the things that we've made changes to. Yeah, it would be nice to use the rock root. Or maybe there's a different, we have rock and stone in English. Maybe there's Uma is stone and Puta is rock. Or maybe the rock's a different size. We could do that as well. Something to think about. I think I'm going to take us back here because I want to make sure that we have enough time to finish up our last segment. So if you are watching this on YouTube, thank you very, very, very much for joining us. If you have any ideas about how we might develop things, please do feel free to leave a note in the comments. And I hope that this has been kind of cool to watch the process, and hope to see you again. Like, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. if you want to see more. It really actually does help to show what kind of videos to make when I see that people respond well to one. So that's all for this segment. I will see you next time. Not you people on stream. I'm sticking around. But we are going to do the next segment now. So I'm going to adjust the pillow fortress upon which I sit and take a glass of water. I will be back in about a minute, and we will get started with some classical Chinese. And we're back. Ooh, I love getting that when the music comes to a natural stopping point. I hate to interrupt the band. Okay, so thank you for waiting. I think we should just jump in because we only have 20 minutes left and we got some classical Chinese to learn. So without further ado, oh yeah, the YouTube intro. Welcome if you are joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much for coming along. We're going to be learning classical Chinese. This is number 3 in a series that we've been doing, Let's Learn Classical Chinese Together, where I more or less valiantly attempt to go through an old classical Chinese textbook. And so we're going to do lesson 3. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, there will be a link to the playlist and you can catch up. Otherwise, let's continue. So, there we go. Okay. So I have made something of a, oops, we need to zoom. Let's zoom. There we go. Here's our little, yeah, I don't know what to call this, our little tableau, our little display center where we're going to go through all of these good things. So today we have a nice reading, which anyone who speaks or who has studied classical Chinese, maybe speaks is the wrong word, please jump in and correct me if I make any mistakes, or you know, if you're watching this on YouTube and there's something that you feel the need to explain, you know, because I've not understood it, just comment away. I'd love to hear it. Okay, because I am by no stretch of the imagination expert at this. I am learning along with all of you. So we have our text here, which the way that this textbook works is kind of cool. It gives us a text. It gives us a vocabulary, which I have written out in a spreadsheet here. And it says, go for it. So let's go for it. Our first line, the title, 多言无疑. So it gives us the following. Let's see if we can. So 多, it's going to give us. Here's our vocabulary. Okay, we got everything in order. Many, much, mostly, or often. So here it's giving us much. Yen. I believe yen we had before in an earlier lesson, which is going to mean speak or speech. Let's just say speak for now because we don't exactly know yet. Wu. Nothing, not, without. So not to have. So not to have or to lack. And then yi. Which the vocabulary is giving us as increase, benefit, advantage. So advantage. So much, speak, not have advantage. How would we translate this in a more idiomatic way? Speaking a lot has no advantage. It's my attempt of the title. Okay, next up. 或问 墨子曰 或 some, someone, or perhaps. So we're going to translate this as someone. 问 gives us ask. Someone ask. And then we have 墨子. 墨子 is a proper name of a philosopher. And it talks about his doctrines here. I'm sorry, I'm a bit over. I'm in the wrong spot. Mozi talks about his doctrines of universal love. So we're dealing with one of the bigger name philosophers of that period. Speaking a lot does not necessarily help. Yeah, okay, that is a nice nuance. That is a nice nuance. So if we, let's make it a little more natural. Not necessarily. Someone ask, 墨子曰, And this is like something to introduce direct speech. We saw this in an earlier lesson. So we can sort of treat this as a verb to say or opening quotation mark. Someone asked Mozi. And then we have yan yi duo wei gui hu. So what do we have here? We have this root meaning speak. Then we have something new, which, it's a particle of many uses, e. We have to take, to cause, to use, and it's going to give us a grammatical note. So let's just translate this as e for now, and finish the rest of the sentence, and then maybe we'll see what to do with it. So, yan yi duo, much, wei. It doesn't give us a good guide. It doesn't have to give us that one of those nice little italic things to say which meaning it intended here. So we could say do maybe, or make, gui, expensive in modern Mandarin. So we can maybe translate this as honorable, and then this exclamation mark. Okay, so then let's look at this grammatical note. Moving down here. E here indicates an instrument, with or by. Sometimes it follows the object. So, yi duo wei gui. So we can say, we can call that instrumental. Let's increase our width here a little bit. So speaking, this is a bit tough. Speaking, using much, does, all right, I'd like to use a lifeline. Can anyone help me translate this sentence? Yan yi duo wei gui hu. Oh, here's an interrogative particle. So let's just say question. Yeah. This is tough. Speaking with much. Does it make you honorable? Does it? Well, we have a question. We know it's a question because we have someone asking. Does speaking with using much? This doesn't really work. I'm assuming it's something like this. Does speaking much make one honorable? This is my guess at the meaning, but how we get there, specifically how we interpret this E, this instrumental marker, I do not know. Maybe it's something like in speech, is it by many things that one becomes honorable? Something like that. In speech. This is kind of translation-ese. So I'm gonna abandon that, and let's just say, does speaking much make one honorable? I'd rather have a free translation than translationese. In speech, is it by much that one becomes honorable? No. Mozi said, 蛤蟆日夜明. So let's go back to our, so here we have 蛤蟆, a common toad or a frog. So frog, 日夜, day and night. And ming we had from an earlier lesson, which is to cry out, to call like a bird or an animal. So we could translate that as croak. Frogs croak day and night. 而人厌之. And people 厌, dislike or hate them. Okay, so we don't need that extra line there. 雄鸡一鸣. 雄鸡 rooster. 雄鸡一鸣. Rooster crows once, or would it be once a rooster crows? I think we have to go back to our, oops. So here we have our character meaning one, our morpheme meaning one, one, the first, all throughout. So would it mean roosters all crow? Maybe. Roosters all crow. 天下震动. So the whole world, everyone, 震动, comes into motion. Everyone wakes up. Well, we could say comes into motion. Everyone starts moving. That's a good. Oh, really? So one can be for on the other hand. Roosters, on the other hand, crow. Okay, cool. So then our next sentence, 眼在当时而已. So speak and 在 to be at, or exist, is giving us a note. So let's just say at 当时, the suitable time. And 而已, and that's that. I think is what it's getting at. So, but it calls it a final particle, so we'll see final. Oh, Samuel, that was another attempt. Well, I like it. Let's find out, and we'll let the book tell us what we if we're right or wrong. So it speaks at the proper time, and that's that. 多言何以? So much speech, what advantage? So what's the use of speaking a lot? Okay, so I think I understand the point of this story, the point of this little reading. Speaking a lot does not necessarily help. Someone asked Mozi, does speaking much make one honorable? Mozi said, frogs croak day and night and people hate them. Roosters, on the other hand, crow and everyone starts moving. Maybe it's as soon as a rooster crows, everyone starts moving. Yeah. What? Okay, great minds. Once roosters crow, and these are kind of like one sentence from our perspective anyway, everyone starts moving. they speak at the proper time, and that's that. What's the use of speaking a lot? Oh, that makes a lot of sense, and so probably a lesson I could learn. Let's look at those grammatical notes to see if it's going to give us any help. So, okay, it's saying that 人厌之 should be but people hate them. So could be and or but. It says here 在. 在 means it is important or it's essential. Oh, sorry, 在当时. What? I mean, to me, it seems to make a lot of sense just saying 在当时, meaning at the proper time. But here it's saying 在 means here it's important. Yeah, I'm a bit stumped by that. It seemed like it already made sense, and now it's telling us something different. Let's see if we can understand from the similar examples. From the similar example. For general, strategy is more important than bravery. Okay. Gives us some readings here. So, 将在谋而不在勇. So the general is important scheming and not is important bravery. So then in speaking, what is important is the proper time. So maybe this yen is like a topic. In speaking, what is important is the proper time. Okay. Cool. Besides playing part of the final particle, this expression imparts to the sentence a shade of exclusiveness, which can be expressed by only, nothing more, that's all. So I've given, and that's that. I think that does it. Let's find out if we were right or wrong, shall we? Okay. Someone asked the uselessness of many words. Okay. It's kind of close to us. Someone asked Mozi, is it from quantity that words become precious? Oh, is it by means of muchness? Does speaking by muchness become honorable or precious? Okay, that's very weird, but I think it's important to get that in so that we understand what the grammar is. Weird translation, I mean, on my part. Does speaking by muchness become precious? Mozi said, frogs croak day and night, yet men loathe them. But when the cock crows only once, everything comes into motion. It is important to speak at the proper time, and that is all. What is the good of talking much? Okay, so I think our once... Roosters crow once, and everyone starts moving. In speaking, what is important is the proper time, and that is all. What is the good of talking much? And with that, we have reached the end of our lesson. Oh, Damien, thank you so much for going to look that up. Does that what did you find before we go? In speaking, what is important is the proper time, and that is all. I like that. Well, we'll let Jamie answer if there's something to say. Otherwise, I will start our outro. I'll come back over here and I'll say thank you very, very much for joining us. This has been a marvelous amount of fun. I'm so glad that so many of you have been able to join us today. If you've been watching on YouTube, thank you so much. If you like this kind of thing, classical Chinese, there will be more of it. If you like the video, you subscribe, all that good jazz. So we'll see you next time. And then to those watching on stream live, we made it through another 2 hours of language fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we can see you here again next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe we may have some language learning related content for you. So if you're interested in that, be sure to tune in. Because we'll be talking all about strategy and tactics for learning languages next week. We may have some other content too, but that's planned on the agenda. So thanks again, everyone. Classical Chinese blows my mind too. It's the way it is, but it's a good feeling. So thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.